The International Criminal Court at The Hague investigates and, as warranted, tries people charged with the gravest of crimes. These days, its prosecutor is busy focusing on the war in Ukraine and the war between Israel and Hamas. Earlier today, Nick Schifrin spoke with the court's lead prosecutor.
Karim Khan is on a trip to Ukraine visiting a children's hospital destroyed by a missile strike, speaking to victims of alleged crimes committed in detention facilities, and held an event with Ukraine's First Lady decrying Russian war crimes against Ukrainian children. ICC prosecutor Karim Khan joins us from Kyiv. Thanks very much. Welcome back to the News Hour. I just listed what you've been doing in Ukraine. Are you seeing ongoing war crimes committed by the Russian Federation?
We think so. Clearly, a lot to investigate. Civilians that are being killed, a lot of civilian objects that are being targeted. You mentioned in the introduction the visit to the Okhmit Children's Hospital. And on the 8th of July, a cruise missile from the Russian Federation, an X-101, hit it. The suffering is horrendous. The heartbreak is very real. And we see so many examples of objects that are civilian, not military, being destroyed and civilians being killed. And these are areas why we're here.
That attack, of course, is just one of many since your first indictment of Vladimir Putin in March 2023. Are you planning to amend your indictment to incorporate what appears to be a vast number of ongoing additional war crimes perpetrated in Ukraine, presumably with the authorization of Mr. Putin?
Well, investigations are organic. We are going to keep on going as with determination to investigate the various crimes that seem to have been committed in an ongoing campaign, not only against the Ukrainian military, born from the acts of aggression, but also causing so much loss to innocent civilian life. We're trying to build partnerships so that wherever it is in the world, there's more space for accountability, less space for impunity, and all the levers of justice must be used.
Vladimir Putin recently visited Mongolia, a state party to the International Criminal Court, but Mongolia ignored the arrest warrant for Mr. Putin. Do you believe Mongolia obstructed justice?
Well, there's a process. The judges are looking into this. The judges have a process to inquire and, if necessary, report any state party for non-cooperation. It's very unfortunate Mongolia didn't execute a judicial order, but this is the first time since warrants were issued that President Putin has put his feet on the territory of a state party to the Rome Statute. I hope it's the exception and not the norm.
But experts I speak to say it was almost inevitable that Putin would visit a state party to the ICC. Does Mongolia's decision erode the court's effectiveness, and does it give you pause that you made the indictment public?
It doesn't give me pause at all. There's a diminishing space for tyrants, for fugitives, for individuals who feel that their power give them immunity. Shouldn't be so sanguine.
You do not have jurisdiction over the crime of aggression at the ICC, but Ukraine is becoming a state party to the ICC, and once they are a member, they're prohibited from committing aggression. So do you believe that could trigger a problem, given Ukraine's incursion into Russia in the Kursk province, or do you believe that is an act of self-defense?
Well, I'm not going to speak in abstract, but every state that is attacked has an international law right, is there in the Charter, to defend itself. Countries are not expected to lie down and be assaulted. In fact, not only the right, very often there's a responsibility to defend statehood, constitutions, territory, and people.
I want to switch to Israel and Gaza. In May, you requested warrants for the arrest of 3 Hamas leaders, including Chief Yahya Sinwar, as well as for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. This week, you called on the ICC's judges to issue those arrest warrants, quote, with utmost urgency. Why?
Look, Nick, this morning I woke up. In Gaza, there was a school being used to house 15,000 people taking shelter, civilians. It's a designated location. Secretary General noted more than 30 civilians have been killed. 6 UN staff have been killed. We're seeing baby after baby destroyed. Pregnant women giving birth, stillbirth to children. We see, of course, Israelis that are still hostages. Kafir Bibas was 10 months old when he was so cruelly taken from the kibbutzim. those families waiting for their loved ones in Israel have a right to justice. And Sinwar is subject to our application, and the people of Palestine, people in Gaza, who want to have food and water, who want to stop waking up in terror as bombs land and the earth shakes and no place is safe, it seems, including schools, as the Secretary General has mentioned today. If we don't start supporting the architecture built in the aftermath of the horrors of the Second World War, we're going to get the Wild West in which no political decisions will help and in which people will be emboldened to just do what they want and not care for our children.
Mr. Prosecutor, this week, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, released this statement, quote, "The comparison made by the prosecutor in The Hague between the Prime Minister and Defense Minister of Israel, which is fighting numerous Hamas terrorism in accordance with the laws of war, and the war criminal Yahya Sinwar, who executed Israeli hostages in cold blood, is pure anti-Semitism and a moral disgrace of the highest order." What's your response to that?
Look, this is a trope that is bandied around with abandon, even when it's not only repugnant and completely false. But in my particular case, I mean, the record shows who I am. I was very honored last year to be invited to give the second Elie Wiesel Memorial Lecture. They wouldn't have invited an anti-Semite to give such a message. Nobody is above the law, nobody's beneath the law. The best of Judaism, the best of Israel is complies with the law. Instead of polemics, instead of trying to discredit individuals, people should submit to the law, make their case. If it's frivolous, if the case is a tissue of lies, judges have shown repeatedly that they will acquit individuals or throw cases out.
Two of the Hamas officials that you've indicted, Mohammed Deif, the head of the military wing, and Ismail Haniyeh, the head of the political wing, have both been killed. Do you consider that justice?
Hamas, of course, is a proscribed organization in many countries. I don't shed a tear for individuals. What I do say is that there is a utility to the application of the law. But of course, the law is operating in a space in which there are legitimate military targets and there are military operations underway. I won't speak beyond that because there is a conflict. But the law has utility, and I'm very much in favor of the equal application of the law.
A week and a half ago, the U.S. and Israel said that Hamas guards holding Israeli hostages taken on October the 7th executed those hostages in a tunnel underneath Gaza. Hamas also continues to use rockets to fire against civilian targets in Israel. Are you continuing to investigate Hamas actions, and do you believe those actions are war crimes?
Absolutely. Every individual must comply with the law. We have jurisdiction over the territory of Palestine. It's abhorrent. As long as we have jurisdiction, we'll try our best to make sure that the arc bends towards legality. Nobody should feel that they can do whatever they want.
ICC prosecutor Karim Khan, thank you very much.